Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 530 News from Montana's news leader.
I'm Emma Hamilton reporting from Bozeman, where the crime rate per 1,000 residents is the lowest in the state. I'll have more on the story coming up next.
Someone used the name of a prominent Butte priest to try to scam people out of money. I'll tell you about it coming up.
And it looks like we're out of the danger zone when it comes to the mumps. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on MTN News. I'm Kevin Stanfield.
And I'm Caitlin Corbett. Right off the top of the show, we're going to check in with our chief meteorologist, Mike Hurd, because we've got more snow coming in.
And we got some severe winter weather expected to impact the state of Montana. So let's begin with some of the winter weather highlights. First, a winter storm warning is up from Missoula to Spokane. So if you plan on traveling I-90 over Lookout Pass tonight into tomorrow, blowing snow, dangerous travel is expected. But there are also winter storm warnings up from 11 p.m. this evening through 5 a.m. Thursday morning from Great Falls to White Sulphur Springs to Bozeman to West Yellowstone. National Weather Service estimates the potential, not for all valleys, but most, could see 4 to 9 inches. But mountains and passes could see up to a foot of snow, along with some very strong winds, and that includes the backcountry near Cook City. Everyone else is under a winter weather advisory, and I do expect to see valley and mountain snows and some strong winds. Blowing and drifting, poor visibility, not the best travel weather over the next 24 to 36 hours, but some of the strongest of winds will be out there in the Livingston area, gusting over 60 miles per hour, along with some falling snow. So Butte, steady temperatures throughout the day tomorrow, but off and on snow likely, along with some localized winds, and there could be some blowing and drifting. Again, accumulations are likely. Same for Bozeman. Temperatures only in the upper 20s through a better part of tomorrow, and almost all day we're expecting steady snowfall and gusty winds. Coming up in my full forecast, I'll walk you through the storm hour by hour, when it begins, when it comes to an end, and how much snow we could see in the entire region in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Mike. The National Council for Home Safety and Security has ranked Bozeman as having the lowest crime rate per 1,000 people.
And that is the lowest rate in the entire state. MTN's Emma Hamilton is live in the studio with more on that. Emma?
Well, overall, the council has ranked Kalispell as the safest city, but when you look closer at those statistics, Bozeman's crime rate, violent and property crime rates are actually less than Kalispell. As Bozeman continues to grow more and more each day, growth typically equals a higher crime rate. But that's not the case for this city.
I think that it's a result of the hard work of the men and women that work to keep Bozeman safe, as well as our partnership with the community. And so we've got alert citizens that are calling in when they see something that doesn't look right. And we work closely to try and resolve public safety issues. And so I think it's a result of that.
It's not only the police force enforcing, but it's also our community members looking after one another that also contribute to what I see as a really safe community, one that I feel comfortable raising my children in and allowing them to travel around the community without constant supervision.
Having a safe community is something that's attractive for people moving to Bozeman.
Public safety is important. It's a critical function of government. We take it very seriously. And it translates into an improved quality of life, a safer place to work, play, live, and recreate. And I think that it contributes to the overall, quality of life, growth, and kind of prosperity that Bozeman is experiencing.
Now, the next 3 safest cities in the state are Helena, Great Falls, and Missoula. To see all the detailed statistics, you can visit our website. Back to you at the desk.
All right, thank you, Emma. Police in Butte are warning residents about a phone scam that is using the name of a well-known priest to try to con people out of money.
MTN's John Amy tells us how the whole con got started and how you can avoid it.
Butte police say a scammer sent text messages to people pretending to be a prominent priest in the Butte community, asking them to donate iTunes gift cards to children with cancer. This was just an attempt to con people out of money.
Asking the people to go buy an iTunes card, take a photo of it, text that photo of that ID, of that PIN number back to them.
The con man claimed to be Butte Parish priest Father Patrick Beretta in an effort to fool people.
They're using a well-known person in this community who has done several fundraisers, who is big into Catholic charities and everything else. And so people would say, "Oh, it's coming from Father Beretta; it must be real," and it's not.
Father Beretta was alerted to this scam earlier this week when one of his parishioners became suspicious after receiving the text.
She's smart enough to know there was something off about the request, and so she called me to make sure that it was authentic, and of course I told her that it was not.
Father Beretta says he often ministers to children going through cancer treatment, so he found it very disheartening that someone would use this serious issue to try to scam people.
Then using the generosity of people, the goodness of people that we have in this community, and the tenderness, the soft spot we all have in our hearts for young cancer patients, I think there was something particularly disgraceful about that, very despicable.
Father Beretta added that he does not solicit money for charity over the phone or text. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Of course, anyone getting a text like that or any suspicious text should contact police. And by the way, the case is still under investigation.
Meanwhile, a Bozeman man was arrested for charging at and fighting with a Bozeman police officer at a gas station last night. 18-year-old Anthony Johnson appeared in Gallatin County Justice Court this morning and is charged with assault on a peace officer. After responding to a 911 hang-up call, the officer says Johnson charged him and did not follow commands to get back. Both the officer and Johnson were taken to Bozeman Health Deaconess Hospital for treatment. His bail is set at $7,500 and his next appearance will be February 15th.
A prominent Fox News anchor is back home safe and sound after a car wreck yesterday in Belgrade. Brett Baer, the host of Special Report with Brett Baer on Fox, was in serious car wreck yesterday morning. He and his family were briefly hospitalized before they were able to fly home. That's according to a post on Baer's own Facebook page. Baer and his family were skiing in Yellowstone Club over the weekend. The crash happened on their way to Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport. According to that Facebook post, Baer is expected to be back on the anchor desk for his show tonight. He says he's thankful for the support and reminds everybody to wear their safety belts.
Last month, we reported on a cluster of mumps cases in Gallatin County. It now appears the small outbreak is contained. The first case was reported in a student at Morningstar Elementary School in Bozeman, and officials confirmed a total of 4 cases. We are now past the 25-day incubation period of the last known exposure. Gallatin City County Health Department Officer Matt Kelly says while he's still cautiously optimistic there won't be any more cases, he says it's a testament to teamwork.
There was some disruption involved in this, but the parents, the staff, the health department staff, the educators, the principal were all really great in helping us figure out how to put in place the control mechanisms that we know prevent further spread of the disease. And it's really, the good news is that we haven't had additional cases.
Kelly also says the fact that there haven't been any new cases is also a testament to the effectiveness of the vaccine.
A controversial logging project south of Bozeman gets the green light from the State Land Board. The board approved the Limestone West timber sale in a vote of 5-0. The project calls for cutting down trees on about just over 440 acres of land near the Triple Tree subdivision in Bozeman. Officials at the Department of Natural Resources and Conservation tell MTN News the first step will be selling the land and then the timber harvest that will probably begin sometime in June. Up next on MTN News, more poll results from the 2018 elections, including the initiatives that were rejected.
And in sports, we're doing a little catch up with the Lady Bobcats.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 530 News continues on Montana's News Leader. Here's the latest market watch from MTN News.
Tonight, we bring you more on the results of our MTN News and Montana State University post-election poll.
In the second of a three-part series, MTN's Mike Dennison and MSU political analyst David Parker take a look at the polling results on two big initiatives that were rejected by the voters.
Initiative 185 would have extended Medicaid expansion, which provides government-funded health care to 95,000 low-income adults, and raised tobacco taxes to help pay for it. It failed, with 53% of Montana voters against it. Our poll showed an identical partisan split on I-185, with 79% of Democrats for it, 79% of Republicans against it, and independents 50-50 on the measure. Women slightly favored I-185 by 53 to 47%, while men strongly opposed it, 61 to 39%. The poll also showed I-185 failing among all age groups, except those ages 30 to 39, who favored the measure by a 55 to 45% margin. So did this just come down to a partisan thing on this initiative race?
With all the money that was being spent largely by the tobacco companies on the 185 race, essentially the two sides polarized. What happened is Democrats moved to the yes column. And why? Because it became about health care and Medicaid. And Republicans and independents overwhelmingly moved to the no column, again, largely I think because of the issue of taxes. So in that sense, this race became polarized and yes, about party issues. And people fell exactly where they expected, which is why the initiative lost.
Next, we'll take a look at the results for I-186. I-186 would have imposed new water treatment regulations on new hard rock mines. It went down with 56% of voters against it. Again, the partisan breakdown was remarkably similar according to our poll. 77% of Democrats supported the measure, 78% of Republicans voted no. But it failed among independents with 54% opposed. Women were split 50-50 on I-186, and men came out strongly against it by another 61 to 39% margin. Those with four-year or advanced college degrees, however, supported I-186 by respective amounts of 58% and 64%. 60% of voters with a high school diploma opposed it, and 87% of those with less than a high school education did as well. So this time around, is it just the same story as the previous initiative?
Slightly different. If you actually look at our pre-poll, Democrats were pretty much firmly in favor of this initiative, and that didn't change pre-post. What did happen in this case is those undecided voters overwhelmingly broke on the no position. And actually, that's what we normally would expect. That's the status quo position. And so what happened is Republicans then, overwhelmingly moved to no, and those undecided independents overwhelmingly moved to no as a result of the initiative. And I think to some extent, the money was largely dominated by the mining industry, and I think, they were successful in what they were trying to do, which was to stop this.
Tomorrow in our final segment, we'll look at the results on approval ratings for our elected officials and where Montana voters stand on some key issues. I'm Mike Dennison with David Parker, reporting from MTN News in Bozeman.
And you can see the full poll results on our website.
Back over to Mike Hurden once again for another check on the weather.
Well, during these high-impact winter weather events coming over the next 24 to 48 hours, travel not really recommended, but you can make some wise decisions if you download our Storm Tracker Weather mobile app. A lot of great features there when these severe storms impact our region. We'll take a look at this storm hour by hour coming up next.
Now, here's your Storm Tracker weather forecast with meteorologist Mike Hurd.
Well, big storm impacts coming over the next 24 to 36 hours. Let's start with the projected snowfall totals. This model usually comes in a little bit lower than all the other models, but I think it's a bit of a mid-range and more realistic. So I think we could see around 3 to 6 inches of snow for Butte and Bozeman. West Yellowstone around 4 to 5. Dillon likely to see less than 1 inch. Now, I'll show you some National Weather Service estimates, and their numbers are a little bit on the higher side. But regardless if it comes in low or comes in high, we all will be picking up snow and wind and difficult wintry travel. So where's the storm at right now? It's moving up and over the top of a ridge, hitting the west coast of British Columbia into the Pacific Northwest, and then it's going to be rounding the corner, diving down into western and southwestern Montana after midnight into early tomorrow morning. So there are numerous highlights out, winter storm warnings for severe winter weather from Missoula to Spokane, including I-90. There could be a foot of snow over Lookout Pass. Winter storm warnings are up from Great Falls down towards White Sulphur Springs to Bozeman to Big Sky down towards West Yellowstone in the backcountry of the Kbzk Kxlf Wilderness areas. National Weather Service estimates there could be around 4 to 9 inches of snow for most valleys, not all, but mountains and passes could pick up a foot of snow, and there could be winds gusting over 30 to 40 miles per hour, and that could really increase avalanche danger there in the backcountry around parts of southwest Montana. But everyone else is under a winter weather advisory, and that includes a large part of I-90 and I-15. So the rest of southwest Montana, lesser snow impacts, but still snow is expected, along with some gusty winds, and difficult wintry travel will be setting up tonight and into tomorrow. Wind is expected to increase from Livingston to Big Timber, which is atypical ahead of a storm, but if it coincides with some falling snow, that could be a big visibility issue. So starting around 11 o'clock tonight, maybe a little after midnight, but definitely by the early morning hours, here it comes plowing through southwest Montana. Lesser impacts from Dillon to Whitehall back towards Three Forks, but watch now as this whole thing begins to dive and dig deeper into southwest Montana late morning, early afternoon, and then by about sunset, it begins to dive out of the area altogether, and then clearing skies will pave the way for some colder lows first thing Thursday morning. So big impacts on your Wednesday morning, your Wednesday evening, and Thursday morning commutes. Now, as you look at the regional estimated snowfall totals, again, higher elevations picking up heavier amounts of snow, and back out towards Anaconda, you could pick up 6 inches. I think 6 to 8 is a little on the high side, but Dillon, lesser impacts for you and southward towards Lima. So as you look outside right now, we're holding at 25 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. I don't think the temperatures are going to fall too quickly here tonight because of the storm and increasing snow here into the overnight. Same for Butte, sitting at 26 degrees and somewhat cloudy. Teens, 20s, and 30s around the state of Montana at this hour. But as you look at the forecast for tonight, snow's increasing after midnight. I got teens and 20s in there for lows. Snow is likely by tomorrow morning. Add another 2 to 5 inches on top of that throughout the day tomorrow. But the winds picking up with a cold front, 10 to 20, gusting to 30, could bring some blowing snow issues. As you move southward, single digits teens and windier 20s here in the overnight, but snow likely to build after midnight. That continues through better part of tomorrow. Gusty winds could cause some blowing and drifting and low visibility. Not the best travel weather for tomorrow. But as you look at the extended forecast, a weaker disturbance will try and set up on Friday, and then Sunday, a warm core storm with a little rain or snow is possible, and a little colder for the first half of next week. For Butte, a good chance for snow tomorrow. A few flurries Friday, a chance for rain or snow on Sunday, and then colder but drier Monday, Tuesday. And down in Dillon, a chance for snow. It's a lower probability, an inch or less is most likely, but nearby mountain passes, Big Hole Pass down towards Monida, snow and wind will bring some very difficult travel that way. Lesser impacts, though, as you move into Thursday and Friday. But West Yellowstone, solid chance for moderate to heavy snow for your Wednesday. You'll pick up more accumulations Friday and again on Sunday of next week. Not the best travel weather. If you don't have to travel tomorrow, I don't recommend it.
All right, thanks, Mike. Brooke Leonard is in with your sports right now. We're talking about an old record that got broke.
Old record that got broken by a local kid here at Montana State. Find out who it is and what he had to say coming up next.
Time now for sports with Brooke Leonard.
The Montana State men's basketball team is now housing a Big Sky record holder. Tyler Hall broke the record for all-time leading scorer in the Big Sky Conference on Saturday in their loss to Eastern Washington. The senior broke a 10-month-long record with a step-back three about 2.5 minutes into the game. His 26-point performance wasn't quite enough to get the win, but the accomplishment was a victory in itself.
I had a lot of teammates throughout my career pushing me to be better. And, a lot of times I just do the easy way. I just shoot the shot. But, teammates are getting me open. So, it's a war for everyone, really.
He's just fun to be around, and it's neat to have that in our program. And to do it, ironically, in front of the crowd that had the previous leading scorer kind of added something to it. And they give him a nice ovation during the first time out, which was very classy on Eastern Washington's part.
Now over on the women's side, the Bobcats are looking to bounce back after an overtime loss to Eastern Washington on Saturday. Montana State outscored the Eagles until the fourth quarter, where Eastern Washington tied up the game to send it to overtime. 3 days later, the Cats have had time to reflect on the loss, review the film, and figure out the missing pieces. In Saturday's case, it all came down to defense.
The part that was really hard to swallow for all of us was a lot of it was mistakes on ours. And you want to make teams earn it, Certainly they had really talented players, but the majority of those looks that they got were mistakes on ours.
Coach Ben read some stats to us yesterday, and it was as the game progresses, we start to make more and more defensive mistakes, and they start to score more. So I think it's just staying focused and locking in for the entire game. And I take a lot of responsibility for that, and it's my job to kind of step up and be an example for the underclassmen. I feel like I need to start doing that.
On to some high school ball. This past Saturday, the Butte High girls basketball team passed one of their biggest tests of the season. The Lady Bulldogs took down an undefeated Billings West team at home thanks to McKenna Carpenter jump shot with 3 seconds to go. A win that will definitely boost their confidence the rest of the season.
Well, my mind was just completely racing. All I heard was from the bench is shoot the ball, and I was looking at the scoreboard and there's 3 seconds left. So I don't even know. It was crazy going on in my mind. But.
Definitely think it was a big step for our program. Billings West has been the last few years one of the top teams in the state. Coach Johnson does a great job with them, and they're always prepared well. And for us to come out and get a win against that team that's outmans us size-wise, I thought was really big for our girls.
And your last look at weather coming up next.
Well, again, severe winter weather will be impacting our region through Thursday morning. So this is the first winter storm warning, I believe, of the winter season for parts of southwest Montana, but starts from Great Falls southward to White Sulphur Springs, down towards Bozeman, Big Sky, West Yellowstone, The backcountry, the Kbzk Kxlf wilderness areas, a foot plus for higher elevations. Most valleys could see around 4 to 9 inches of snow, and gusty winds, gusts around 30, 40 miles per hour, especially in wind-prone areas, will bring some blowing and drifting and poor visibility. Minor hazards, but still difficult winter travel for the rest of the region. Winter weather advisories are up tonight through early Thursday morning, accumulating snow and gusty winds. Just some nasty looking severe winter weather to influence travel for the next 24 to 36 hours.
All right, thanks, Mike. Don't forget, MTN News at 9 coming up on the CW, and we will be back here at 10 o'clock. Hope to see you then.